Welcome viewers and thanks for tuning in. In 2019 we saw the TV box market dominated by Ugoos with their premium line of high-performance boxes, sporting their very innovative user interface filled with new features never seen on TV boxes before. The AM6 and the AM6 Pro model dominated the chart for the most of 2019, only falling second to the NVIDIA Shield with the first AM6 model clocked at 2.2 GHz on the S922X CPU on 2 GB of RAM and 16 GB of storage. With expectations running high, in September 2019 they released a second AM6 Pro model with 4 GB of RAM and 32 GB of storage, clocked at 1.8 GHz on the same S922X CPU. This model caused quite a stir, as users were expecting the Pro model to have more power than the first model. But due to the lower CPU clock speed, its performance placed lower on the chart, placing fourth to the Beelink GT King Pro. For 2020 Ugoos has released their latest AM6 model, on a new CPU that promises to be their best AM6 model yet. Presenting, the Ugoos AM6 Plus. And this is the third model running on the new S922X Hexa-core CPU, and the Mali G52 GPU on 4 GB of RAM and 32 GB of internal storage. So could this be the return to the 2.2 GHz speed that we saw in 2019? Stay tuned, a full review is up next. Welcome back. So the Plus model comes in the same box as its predecessors, and only its green color is different. To the back it shows that the CPU is the Hexa-core S922X. The GPU is the Mali G52 MP6. It has 4 GB of DDR4 RAM, 32 GB of internal storage. It's running on Android 9 Pie operating system. It has dual-band Wi-Fi and gigabit Ethernet LAN connection. It has Bluetooth 5.0 with LE technology. And it has USB 3.0 and HDMI 2.1 ports. So without further ado, let's get the show started. So the contents of the box have not changed. You have the new AM6 Plus TV box itself. You get this infrared remote. This remote has a multitasking button and no mouse pointer button. You get a standard HDMI cable. A 12 volts 2 amps power adapter. You get a pair of external antennas for maximum Wi-Fi reception. And the last item here is the user's manual. And now a look at its design and its input-output peripherals. The body is made of a painted aluminium alloy, with the Ugoos logo and a power LED light to the top. To the back of the box, you have one HDMI 2.1 port, two USB 2.0 ports, one Ethernet LAN port at 1000 megabits per second, one optical audio SPDIF port, and the DC power input jack. To one side you have one USB 3.0 port, another USB 2.0 port, one audio-video output jack, one auxiliary input jack, and a microSD card reader. To the other side, you have connectors for the external antennas. You have some ventilation holes. And a power button. To the front, you have some more ventilation holes. And below the box you have a recovery button, a mask ROM button, and more ventilation holes. So I will attach the two antennas and connect it to my 4K TV and capture card and continue. So I've connected the box, and the startup animation hasn't changed from the previous models. The boot up animation will carry on for a few seconds, then you're taken directly to the launcher. So back to the launcher. The AM6 Plus has one of the best launchers on the market. It adopts the same features of your mobile phone like long click menu pop-up and drag and drop apps shortcut feature. You can change the wallpaper and add widgets by long-clicking anywhere on a blank space, and drag and drop any widget or change the wallpaper. The launcher comes with a navigation bar and full status bar with system controls, which reminds me why the AM6 is my favorite TV box of 2019. The AM6 Plus comes with the same firmware features as its predecessors and more. Features include: under the Ugoos settings you have the advanced root switch feature. You have the hardware monitor feature. The gamepad key mapping feature. File client server setting, or Samba server settings. Wireless assistant feature. You have some debug settings. User script settings. The option to turn off the navigation bar and status bar. Under device preferences you have the following features. Dolby Vision display settings. HDR display settings. You have the advanced screen rotation settings. Advanced CEC settings. The new power settings. The 4K lock screen settings. And Dolby Audio, Dolby Atmos, and DTS audio options. The Ugoos interface remains the most advanced firmware on the market to date. These are the apps that come pre-installed on the box, and I will install all my apps and continue. So I've installed all the apps I need, and let's take a look at that crucial piece of system and hardware information. I am happy to report that the new Plus model has returned to the original CPU clock speed of 2.2 GHz on the new Hexa-core S922X CPU, on 4 GB of RAM and 32 GB of internal storage. It is still configured in 32-bit mode, which means it can only play 32-bit applications. Your display is powered by the Mali G52 GPU, with a refresh rate of 60 Hz and OpenGL-ES 3.2, which is excellent for gaming. It has dual-band Wi-Fi support. The operating system is Android 9 Pie. In normal room settings without air conditioning or active cooling, the temperature is below 40 degrees Celsius, which I find quite amazing for this new model, and it augurs well for the lifespan of this box. And finally, it comes equipped with the latest codecs for the playback of 4K media, with HDR display and digital surround sound audio formats. So the specs looking pretty good in this new model, and let's take a look at its benchmarks. First, the RAM and internal storage read and write speed results. The Plus model has a RAM copy speed of 5,424 megabytes per second. The internal storage has a read speed of 138 megabytes per second and a write speed of 101. This is a good score, but not quite as expected, as the previous first model had a RAM copy speed of over 7,000. In the Wi-Fi and LAN speed test, I have a very important issue to bring to your attention. If you intend to get this model, please know that if you plug in the Ethernet LAN cable, it will connect to the modem, but you will not get any internet connection. This is due to a settings in the IP settings area that has been set to the wrong option by default, same as the HDR setting in the display area. To fix this issue, connect the LAN cable to the box. Then open IP settings and change the setting from static to DCHP and save. Once this is done, return to normal operation. So after the adjustment to the IP settings, the AM6 Plus had maximum download and upload speed on my internet package of 100 megabits per second on both Wi-Fi bands and on the LAN port. And now the result of the Antutu benchmark. As of the 1st of January 2020, I started using the new Antutu version 8 on boxes that are compatible with it. The new Antutu version produces a higher score than version 7, so please take note of that. The Ugoos AM6 Plus got a score of 140,883. This is a good score, and I will have to include the previous two models on the chart to do a proper comparison. In the Geekbench 4 CPU benchmark, the AM6 Plus got a score of 1,522 single-core and 4,178 multi-core. This is a good score and it should place well on the chart. In the GPU benchmark, the Plus model scored 1,192 in the Slingshot Extreme, 1,704 in the Slingshot test, and it maxed out in the Ice Storm Extreme test. These scores are also really great, but it does not have Vulkan support. So that's it for the benchmarks, and let's see how it places on the chart. So I have entered the scores on the chart along with the scores of the previous two models and the GT King Pro, after retesting them on the new Antutu version 8 for proper comparison. The results showed that the Ugoos AM6 Plus took position number 1 in reference to Antutu benchmark scores, beating its previous two models along with the B-Link GT King Pro. This chart is available on my website in full spreadsheet format where you can interact with it and compare various scores. See the link in the description area. So to show some of its features, I will start with its root access information. The box is not rooted by default, but once you activate the root switch feature and restart the box you will have root access. The DRM information shows that you have Google Widevine Level 3 with no HDCP protection for Netflix to show in HD and 4K quality. So you will only get Netflix basic 480p quality on this box. Alternative launchers is another feature that works fine on this new model, and I am currently using the ADW Launcher 2 alternative launcher, with all mouse pointer features working like drag and drop shortcuts and long click pop-up menu. The latest version of Netflix on the Aptoide store now plays OK, so you don't have to search for an older version like before. But despite installing OK, it only plays in basic 480p quality due to limited DRM support. The same applies to Amazon Prime Video. Prime Video installs directly off of the Play Store, but it is also limited to standard video resolution. YouTube also had to be installed, and I installed the Android TV version from the Aptoide App Store, as it is the only version that plays in 4K quality on TV boxes. Other versions include the Smart YouTube TV version and the YouTube Vanced version. All three versions play in 4K quality, but the mobile version from the Google Play Store only plays in 1080p. Another primary function is the playback of self-hosted video files. Most users will be interested in 4K videos with digital audio formats. My recommendation is to use the VLC player with hardware acceleration set to full acceleration, and the audio settings set to pass-through. So I will now play my list of 4K videos in HDR 10-bit formats.
And only a win for Barca would be enough, because it would give them the same number of points as Atletico, but the head-to-head goal difference is what counts in the case of a tie. Koke with the ball, Villa to his right, and despite having missed out through injury, the first time he makes a run into space, next
So the new AM6 Plus plays 4K videos really well with HDR display. A very critical feature of TV boxes is HDMI and optical audio pass-through of digital audio formats such as Dolby Atmos and DTS surround sound audio. So I will test that now.
Juries, executioners, judges.
Welcome to the inside of your head.
This is the left channel. Next, we have the center channel.
So this test shows that the AM6 Plus has Dolby Atmos and DTS audio pass-through via HDMI. I am now connecting an optical audio cable to the optical audio port to test if it has the same digital audio output via the optical port. The results showed that you have Dolby Atmos and DTS audio via optical output, but I did not get Dolby True HD. So the drive was formatted successfully, and in the settings area under more settings, if I open the storage settings and view the device storage information, here it shows the 2 TB external hard drive being shared as internal storage. So I have connected my gamepad via Bluetooth and I will now play some Android games and also test for keymapping apps capability.
On to the attack now. Not quite as planned there for the team. We've got 2 added minutes, that's been signalled now. Cross coming in now. Off the post. Oh, and they've scored right in the final moments here. Fantastic, it must win the game.
Collapsing.
So the graphics handling is great as expected and all keymapping apps work well on this box. The only issue is that the Panda keymapping apps have to be sideloaded as they are not available on the Play Store. In summary, this box is fantastic. The Ugoos AM6 Plus is their best model yet. It has